Thank you very much. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Lynn Nesbitt, and I'm chairing today's panel. Joining me on the panel are Linda Schultz and Richard Whitbread. Our assessor is Abhishek Ratan, and our administrative personnel is Sally Caulfield. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the business assessment role in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act and the City of Winnipeg Charter. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all property owners as soon as possible. That will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 1 through 4 on our docket today. Ms. Caulfield, please affirm the assessor's and applicant's testimony.
Please state your full name.
Abhishek Ratan.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Ayrton Neufeld.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and welcome Mr. Ratan and Mr. Neufeld. Let's start in with item number 1 on our agenda. Before we start, Mr. Neufeld, I'm just confirming that you are appealing the total annual rental value of the property?
Correct.
Thank you very much. Okay, item number 1 is file number 24-5184. This is 3216 Portage Avenue. Mr. Ratan, when you are ready, you may begin with your evidence, please.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. File number 24-5184, property address 3216 Portage Avenue. Business assessment ID 5253. The subject property has one premise ID 6237 with a leasable area of premise area of 2,835 square feet. The base ARV is $55,368, which can be base ARV per square feet at $19.53. The total occupancy cost for the premise is $7,655, which bring the annual rental value for the subject property at $63,000. Moving on to page 2, we have the set of same rent comparables that were used in the realty appeal, which shows that there is an average of $25.40 and a median of $25, and a minimum and the maximum range of $16 and $28. On page 3, I have the 2025 Board of Revision Realty Appeal decision, which states that the decision is based on net operating income presented by the Assessment and Taxation Department with a 6.5% cap rate. This was for the realty. So I asked the board to confirm 2025 ARV for 63,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, questions?
Yes, thank you. You mentioned there's a minimum of $16. The lowest I see here is $22.16. Was there a rent removed?
Sorry, that seems a typo there. It should be 22.16, sorry.
Okay.
First rent, that's when was the subject property built?
Sorry, I don't have that in right now.
Okay, what was the focus on the picking of the rents? I noticed none of them are really in the area.
So I use the same rent comparables that were used for realty appeal.
Okay, so do you have any answers as to why did you pick them? Or did someone else?
There was somebody else who did the realty appeal.
Okay, so did you go over why they picked them, or do you not know?
No, I have no clue.
Okay, the comp 3, that's Minick Dental. Are you aware that's owner occupied?
Sorry?
Are you aware that your third comp is owner occupied?
No.
Okay. And you would, aside from that one, you would argue that you would agree that these are all newer medical facilities. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Are you aware that 1020 Lorimer, that is a pharmacy on the first floor, and part of their agreement is rent based on how many doctors are in the building?
No, we do not know about that agreement. I haven't clue about that agreement.
Okay, and those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Whitbread, questions?
No, I have none, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz?
No questions at this time, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Rattan, these are all medical facilities?
Yes, these are.
Okay. Our subject property is a dental facility, is that right?
Yes, it is, right.
Okay, do you distinguish between dental and medical?
Generally, when we put the properties on for our assessments, there are not a higher distinguish, but the dental units generate more rent because of their quality built. So yeah, they have a higher rent rate as compared to other medical clinics.
Okay, so all of these are higher than the subject property. Why would the subject property have a lower rent? These are all fairly consistent.
One of the reasons could be the year built, which I don't have right now mentioned in my brief. There could be a reason that this is a ordered property. That's why it has a lower rent rate.
Okay. Okay, I have no other questions. Mr. Neufeld.
Thank you. The subject property is a dental office. It was built in 1970 and it was renovated. It's not just a facelift. It's still a 1970s Bones property. Not a whole lot that they did to really improve the quality of the building that you compare it to the assessor's rents. The reason I talked about the assessor's rents, I don't know if I can ask you to do this, but I would, if you could, Google these all. They're brand new medical facilities that were designed for that purpose. I believe all multi-stories. You probably would recognize most of them. They've been going in the last few years. It's a concept that a lot of these medical facilities are doing. You can get 3 or 4 different operations in it. exception being 1020 Lorimer, which is the surgery center. That was designed, it was a very ambitious project. It was 5 stories. I think they finally, built in 12, they're finally filling it up now and trying to sell it. It was built, the idea was that the doctors would more or less be living nearby and being in Linda Woods, so they were trying to attract doctors to do day surgeries in there. It was probably one of the most unique medical buildings in the city. I will say again, 10 Queen Elizabeth Way is Munich Dental. He is the owner of that building. Colliers represents him. I don't really see, yeah, you could argue that this is a higher quality than it was before, but I don't really see how you can compare them to these new medical facilities at all. So when I rent, if you go to my page 5, I found a mall down the street that had the exact same concept onto it. This is newer renovations. I should have put the pictures of it on here before, but it looked exactly like my page 3, which you can see is the subject property before its renovation. So that mall did almost the exact same transformation as the subject. And I honestly just put the average rent of 1490 in it. That is much better indication of what this building would be worth as a down the street. B is a similar quality of construction. The sorry. Just the subject, the assessor's rents are quite frankly not comparable. I think 10 Queen Elizabeth could somewhat be, but again, that one's still unoccupied. And a bit of a different area that's got a lot more visibility, that's the right on the main street there, right before the Queen Elizabeth Bridge. 1970 construction, I think going to a mall next door at the average rent makes a lot more sense than going to brand new medical facilities for $14.90. And sorry, that's now I remember my point. The $16 rent that it says, oh, never mind. I can see it cut off there. So I thought maybe he did say 16. He said 16, but it looks like it's just the 2 is cut off. And for some reason, something doesn't seem right. So I was going to say the 16, if there was a rent that was suggested, would be much better and closer, but it looks like that's just completely a typo. I could sort of see it. But I do think the 1490 is much closer to what we would be looking at for this property, and I would ask that the 49,900 be the value that is decided today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rattan, questions for Mr. Neufeld?
No, I don't have any.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Schultz?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Neufeld, you're relying on the mall that's next door for rents?
I think, I mean, I have other rents for support, but that is with the rent I picked. And I think when you're looking at the older building like this on the immediate area, that's much more indicative than new medical facilities scattered across the city. Most of these I can remember being built. They are much, much better than the subject.
And then you have on your page 5 several rent comparables that you say you're also using.
Yeah, those are their support. I think if this building wasn't recently renovated, I'd be focusing more on these. These are kind of older, similar style properties where they're small tenancies. A lot of them are really low, and that's again, if this had no renovation and it wasn't the dental office, again, there's no arguing that they do put a higher finish in there than these rents, but they wouldn't be a higher finish than the mall that I'm relying on. So those are there for support. It just shows how low it really could go. I think 873 Portage actually makes a lot of sense for the pre-renovation.
Okay, and I am looking at your 3166 Portage rents, also on page, whatever I am, 5. And I see that you do have an average of 1490, but only one tenant appears to be driving that, right? The rest of them are upwards of $15.
Yeah, and that tenant
in the 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are $16+. So
yeah, and no, and I don't think any of those are necessarily. I think that range is something that is fair, and it's a fair comment. Absolutely. The reason I mean, I could have picked the 1390. It's for the realty, that's actually much closer in size because this is about double the size for realty. I just use the same rent that we use. Is it to
Okay.
feel fair?
So
But
you,
again, the 1743 is quite small, and I wouldn't call that very comparable. It's 1,000 square feet. But when you're looking at, you're right, but you're absolutely right. The 1390 does bring it down, but it's saying the most comparable to the subject just because the other ones are small units, and those small units then tend to rent higher as you get smaller there.
mhm. Okay. Okay, and this was the rental rate you used in the realty? Okay,
And the realty, if you can see on my page 2, I did it there, and that's 2 because there's 2 tenancies.
okay, okay. I have no additional questions. Mr. Rattan, would you like the opportunity for summation?
No, I'm good. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, summation?
No, thank you. That's fine. I think
Okay, well, thank you then. That will conclude item number 1. And Mr. Neufeld, I guess you're done.
great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Bye.
Mr. Charlevoix Page, are you there? Ah, there he is.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi there. Sorry, YouTube is a bit delayed.
Okay, that's all right. Before we begin, we will have your testimony affirmed.
Please state your full name.
Stephen Charlebois Page.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And before we begin, I just want to confirm with you, Mr. Charlebois Page, that your appeals today are on the annual rental value of the
Correct.
properties. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, we will begin with item number 2. This is file number 24-4917, 1599 St. Mary's Road. Mr. Rattan, you may begin with your evidence, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I was just reviewing the brief presented by the applicant, and I would like to accept their recommendation for the value. So do you want me to go on with my brief?
You can first introduce the property, and then, yes, you can tell us what's on the roll first, and then go right to your recommendation.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. File number 24-4917, property address 1599 St. Mary Road. Business assessment ID 40061. Premise ID 8387. The premise area is 2,800 square feet. With the base ARV of $46,872. The base ARV per square feet is $16.74. Total occupancy cost is $7,560 with the annual rental value of $54,420. The page 2 has a workout with the wrong property address and the bid, so kindly avoid that. But the calculations that I made on page 2 were based on the realty appeal decision. The realty appeal decision was there was an adjustment for the net operating income at $68,903 with a cap rate of 7%. So I kind of adjusted the rent rate according to the court's decision for the realty, which was moving our rate from $16.74 to $10.88.
Okay.
So now if we are only reviewing the area for 2,800 square feet for this property, my first recommendation was to reduce the ARV from $54,420 to $38,040. But upon reviewing the applicant's brief, if they are suggesting us to, if they're requesting an assessment at $47,460, we would accept that recommendation.
So your new proposal, your new recommendation verbally is to reduce the total ARV to $47,460.
Yes, please.
Okay, Mr. Charlebois Page?
Could I confirm a few things with the assessor on that? So we got a board decision at the realty that just totaled a sum NOI.
Yes.
And I guess in the same way you did, sort of tried to interpret how that would look.
Yeah.
I think, do you know if the other business premise is appealed, Abhishek?
I honestly, like, when I was making the brief, I didn't think there was any other one, but like for this specific docket, there is no, that it wasn't any in the consideration. Now I'm unsure if there is any other appeal with the business assessment for the another premise. I have no idea about that one.
Okay, maybe I should just present, Madam Chair, because you
Well,
know,
my first question to you would be, do you accept that recommendation of 47,460, which is the value that you've presented?
Yeah, and now that we discussed it, I think Abhishek's number might be correct if the other one is not subject for discussion, because the sum of the total parts, if you leave what's on the roll for the ground floor and use Abhishek's number, you'll get the realty decision NOI. If you make no adjustment to the ground floor and use my figure for the second floor, you won't actually get to the realty NOI. You'd be north of that figure. So I apologize for that, and perhaps we should proceed, because I was going to accept Abhishek's number given the fact that I don't believe that the ground floor is under appeal.
Okay. But you do not accept now the number that he's proposing and that you have in your brief.
Yeah, I suppose either would be fine, but I'm thinking now, just my opinion to the board might be that his value might be more correct. And I'm not saying that just because it's lower. I'm just saying if we're trying to get to the NOI that the realty decision has given us, and we're not adjusting the ground floor, I believe Abhishek's number is correct. Is that true, Abhishek? I'm not. I just don't want to interpret. I don't want to interpret that incorrectly. But if there's no adjustment made to the ground floor, your second story rent equals the NOI in the realty decision. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so I would then say that is the correct number to use, Madam Chair.
Okay, so you do not accept the recommendation,
Yeah.
Or you do not accept the new recommendation, correct?
Correct. I mean, I have submitted evidence at 47, given that I believe that the property should be split, and can present on that figure. But I do have to advise the board that perhaps I would say that the 38,000 figure would be more accurate based on the realty decision.
Okay, so we're a little bit out of process. I understand why we're a little bit out of process. Do you have any questions for Mr. Rattan? Questions?
No, I think he answered my other question, is that the sum of the parts using that rent would be the realty NOI, and I believe he answered yes. So I that would be my question.
Okay. Mr. Whitbread.
Well, I am a bit puzzled.
Yeah.
In that Mr. Rattan presents his recommendation, recognizes your number, and revises his recommendation to your number. You see his recommendation, first recommendation.
And these are questions for Mr. Rattan, right?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
I should use names. Mr. Page sees the recommendation at 38,000 and suggests that that is appropriate now, in spite of his suggesting to us 47,460. So are you suggesting we rehear the realty decision, Mr. Page? Sorry, I'll redirect this to Mr. Page. In your statement, are you suggesting we rehear the realty page here, realty case, Mr. Page?
No, Mr. Chair, you know what, perhaps we should move on to my presentation and I'll use that time to go over the logic that I'm giving the verbal evidence here. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's just hold up a minute.
Yep.
Mr. Rattan, could you explain the layout of this property for us? You spoke about, or I heard someone talking about a couple different premises. So on the realty, this property is made up of 2 rental premises?
That is correct.
Okay, can you explain the property to us, please?
So this property has 2 premises in it. The first one is for 2,800 square feet and the another one is 4,100 square feet. The 4,100 square feet is, I guess, I remember it's a very poor managed place, like not poor, like the quality is not great. I guess it's a basement and the main floor, if I remember it right. So what happened was during our realty appeal, the board decided to go with 69,803 as in a net operating income for the total realty. For the 68,903 has in a total value net operating income for the total property. So when this premise came for the Board of Revision BE appeal, we honored the decision made by board and we adjusted our net rents as per the decisions presented on the realty appeal. So we took that $68,903 and divided that between both the premises, and my workup was presented based on that. So if you go on like page 2, you'll see that 2,800 square feet at $16.74 was our initial value that we presented in our realty appeal, which we moved from to $10.88 to honor the board's decision for realty. When I came today when I was reviewing this, the docket in the morning presented by the applicant, I saw that they are actually recommending a higher value, which was at $14.25 rather than $10.88. But back of my mind, I was a bit in a like a confusion that are they taking 2,800 into consideration or 6,900 into consideration? But then I again look at the premise area of 2,800 on their page 2nd. So I asked the board if I can recommend and accept the value of $47,460.
Okay.
If that kind of like helps to.
It helps us a little bit,
Right.
but we'll continue on. Mr. Charlebois Page, let's go to your evidence then.
I've
And
got
you
one
can.
question. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, Ms. Schultz.
That's okay. I've got one question. So the difference in the rents, the 1674, where did you come up with the 1088 based on what? Like, I know you've got the 2 premises, 2,800 and 4,100.
Yep. Thus to $10.88 came, if you go on our page number 303, on my.
So based on that.
Yeah, and the last statement on my page is the decision is based on the adjusted net operating income of 68,903. So we took this number of 68,903 and did all the reverse calculations to come at 1088.
Okay, got it. Yep. Thank you. No further questions.
Okay. And that 1088 then would apply to the whole of the property, right?
Yes,
Both premises.
both premises, yes.
Okay. Mr. Charlebois Page.
Madam Chair, could I maybe get a point of clarification there?
Sure.
Abhishek, I don't think that's true. The 1088 applied to the entire premise would not equal the NOI at the board for realty. Maybe I'll go through my presentation and then we'll just go through that after. Okay,
Sure.
all right. So I'll start at the top. So again, we haven't. Am I able to begin, Madam Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So we have a two-story building here with a basement. Under my premise description on page 4, you'll see this was a property that someone took a shot on. The owner was a doctor, tried to put a pharmacy in there, thought it would occupy up. The majority of the building sat vacant. It never panned out the way the owner wanted it to. I'll have you guys flip down if you want into my appendix. There's lots of pictures of the property there, starting at page 10. Sorry, it loses the numbering where the photos go in. But the remainder of the brief is the pictures of the subject property. So the way this was for realty, and now I'm going to do this off the top of my head, but the ground floor was assigned a higher rent and the second floor was assigned a lesser rent. When the board issued their decision for the realty, there was just a flat number given for an NOI. Call it 69,000, I believe, and change. The difficulty here is that the property at realty had vacancy issues, a ground floor, a basement, and a second floor. So you have several variables on how the board rendered their decision. So now if you'll, I'm sorry, I'm skipping around a bit, but I'll take you to page 9 of my workup, or of my brief, which is the realty workup that I tried to back into my number. And the reason this is difficult is because, like I said, you have ground floor, second, and basement. I didn't want to take such an aggressive position without the board actually providing that language to say, hey, you know, the second floor, we put at a nominal rate. I believe the assessment department used $10.88 a square foot, which means they would have assigned $16 to the ground floor or a higher rent to the basement, if that makes sense. Because if you'll look here, 14.25% vacancy was the allowance. I think that's, again, what I had in my evidence right around. And the 7% cap, I believe they state outright in the decision. It's up a page, or I don't know if I have, it's in the assessor's evidence. So all that being said, what the reason I'm saying that Abhishek's number might be correct is because if the city is going to leave $16 on the ground floor, if you're not splitting it evenly, then 1088 is the correct number to arrive at the NOI stated at the realty appeal. If you split it evenly, as I have, the 1425 a square foot, you'll arrive at that NOI using the parameters with the vacancy allowance set out at the realty. And I apologize for the confusion, but that's sort of where I was trying to extract sort of what the board's decision was. I'll take you back up to page 5. When I did the realty appeal, I did focus in on these comps. I included a more bolsterous sort of rental analysis of comps in the immediate vicinity. But these ones were the central focus, sort of relying on what a comparative asset would be rented at in sort of relevant to that April 1st, 2023 valuation date. So I know I've put a figure of 47,460 in my brief, but that being said, if the adjustment is not being made to the ground floor and that rent's going to continue at $16, then I believe the city is actually correct in applying the lower rent at 1088 a square foot. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rattan, questions?
No, I don't have any.
Mr. Whitbread?
No, I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. I think we understand your position, Mr. Charlebois-Page. I think the board's got a little bit of a challenge in that we don't know what's being done with that other premise. Correct?
For sure. Yeah, and that's I'm happy to honor my figure, but obviously myself and the city have a difference of opinion on how the realty appeal figure was decided at that NOI. And that's, I think you've kind of grasped that, and that's sort of where that is.
And Mr. Rattan, this is back to you. You've said that new square foot number of the 10, whatever it was applied to all premises, sort of one number applying to all. Is that normally the case, or would the city normally apply different rates
So it's
to the ground floor versus the second floor?
So
Like
generally,
in a case like this, where there's different rents, I don't know what you did in what the city did in the realty at the beginning. Did you have one value for across the whole property or no?
no, that shouldn't be the case. Whenever we have the properties on roll, every floor would have a different rate.
Differently,
Whether it's like by 0.5 cents, there would be a difference because of the layouts of the building. Now, when it comes to like a decision like this one, 68,903, has a net operating income. That's because I'm not the one who will be making the adjustments, but for sure, the way I did my calculations, they will be reversed out and they will be applied to whole property.
So you would apply one rent to the whole of the property
Yes,
and
because
not
now
different rents.
no, because now what I'm assuming is since the board agreed, the board already said like it's 68,903, we are honoring their decision, so that would be only possible if we use one rent rather than having them different rents. One of the things that I actually noticed was the vacancy rate that was applied by the applicant for 14.25% in the realty. I'm unsure if we have the same vacancy right now. I don't remember that off top of my mind. Because these small factors would also affect the rent rate calculations when you do a back map. When you do your reverse calculations, I guess these are the factors that will be also affecting the rent. But again, as I mentioned that if board gave us a decision for net operating income to use 68,903, we'll be using one rent for all the premises though. And we will make sure that we sum up at 68,903 at the end of the day.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that, both of you. Summation, Mr. Rattan?
I think it just got a bit confusing, there was a confusion here. So again, to sum up, I would say that I would ask the board to reduce the value from 54,420 to 38,040 if we are honoring the board's decision and of the realty agreement.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Charlebois Page?
I would acknowledge the same confusion and agree with Abhishek, just trying to get to that right number and interpolate backwards, and that's the confusion for today. So sorry.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much, both of you. Okay, let's move on to item number 3. This is file number 24-4792-704 Osborne Street. Mr. Rattan, when you are ready, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. File number 24-4792, property address 704 Osborne Street, business assessment ID 23980, premise ID 19289, premise area 2580 square feet with a base ARV of $42,647. The base ARV per square feet is $16.53. The total occupancy cost is $6,966, and the total annual rental value is $49,620. On page 2, I have the same set of rent comparables that were used for our realty appeal, which shows that we have a mean of $17.38 and a median of $15.83. And on the page 3, I have the 2025 Board of Revision Realty Appeal decision, which states that the decision is based on net operating income presented by Assessment and Taxation Department with a cap rate of 6.5%. So to conclude, I would ask the board to confirm 2025 ARV for $49,620. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Charlebois Page, questions for the assessor?
Yes, please, Madam Chair, just a few.
Mhm.
So are you aware if comparables 1 and 2 provided by the city are built to suit units, those ones at 1020 Lorimer?
So what was the question again about? I missed the part before 10
Oh,
minutes.
yeah, sorry. Are you aware if they are built to suit units, like built to suit the new tenants?
So, I don't know the meaning of the build to suits. Could you just,
Okay, yeah, just, do
I
you
know
know?
they are newer builds for sure.
Okay, so I guess sometimes when a builder's building out a property, they'll pre-secure tenants for those spaces and build the spaces to suit those tenants.
Oh, I see.
And I was just wondering if you knew if those were built to suit units or for those tenants.
Sorry, no, I have no idea. I
Okay, thank you. Do you know if those tenants are doing surgeries in those units?
Yes, I know that.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, and you'd agree that the age and the quality of that comparable is substantially higher than the subject property?
That is true. Yes.
Okay. Without those Lorimer comps in there, that rental study you provided is a median of 1350 a square foot. Do you think that the subject property might be high given that?
Yes, they would be a bit higher. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you very much. Mr. Whitbread, questions?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rattan, is this 10 Queen Elizabeth Way the same property that was used in your comparables for item number 1? I think we heard some evidence it was owner occupied.
That is correct.
Is it the same? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Charlebois Page.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So we have a dental office here. Premise is 2580 square feet. Current assessment is 49,620. I have the rents on page 5 of my report. The premise is currently valued at 1653 a square foot. In review of rental comparables, I selected 9 office comparables in the I guess in the market region. And the median was $14. The average was 1445 or 1455 or 1446. I apologize. And then I've used a 1455 rent. The subject was reduced at realty. It does say it was taken in by evidence submitted by both parties, but ultimately the NOI was reliant from the city. I don't have any dispute with the occupancy costs. One thing I would just note here, and it's up in my premise description of this property. So we've compared this property, or the city's compared this property to newer medical tenancies. If you'll look, there's a pretty detailed description of this building. It's wood frame, built in 42 originally. There's an addition on there. And with respect to sort of the basement area and rent applied to that space, you've got ranging wall heights that are well under what you typically get. I know a lot of those higher end office comparables would likely have between 10 and 11 foot ceilings. This building, you know, you're going to have 6 to 8 feet, which, if you can imagine, by the time you put even tile on the ceiling, you'll have not much space. So just to say that this property is sort of an older asset. I would not necessarily agree with the comps, the newer comps that the cities use, family-owned dental practice. I'm seeking a reduction to the business assessment to 44,460, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rattan, questions?
No, I don't have any actually.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz?
Yes, just one question or a couple. So the current Osborne Dental Group, do they occupy the entire building, or are there, like, it's owner occupied, but is it the entire building they have?
I believe they do.
Okay, so your comparables, you've got like areas that are like a basement or upper or main floor. Are those buildings then divided by other occupancies if you're only assessing certain floors on your comparables?
For sure. And I've got a mix there. You'll see the one on 155 Carlton.
Yeah.
What I was trying to get at here is you'll see a main floor at $14
Yeah.
there for that tenancy, and then an upper one at $13.50. I was trying to find focus in on occupancies that would be relevant. With office, it could be more difficult. You know, the 1365 there for the basement at Pioneer might be gross. Don't have a lot of information on that deal, but I just sort of to have a look at buildings that were maybe a little older, with, you know, modest office finish that are conducting business. And yeah, that was my focus with those.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Schultz. Mr. Whitbread, questions?
Yes. You talk a lot about the height of the ceilings in the property description. Is that part of the contributor to your low rate of rent? Sorry,
Yeah.
to your rent rate.
Yeah, I think it would be. I mean, not solely focused on that, but what it is another indicator of an older asset that hasn't been, that's not competing with sort of something that's newer age. And that's, I guess, where I'm going. And to be fair to you, Mr. Chair, my comparables there are in office buildings that would have regular sized sort of floor plates and wall heights. Difficult to find a mix in the immediate vicinity that would have similar effects, but yes, those factors were considered in choosing my rents.
I have nothing further. Thanks.
Thank you. And I have no additional questions either. Mr. Rattan, would you care for summation?
No, I'm good. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Charlebois Page?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. All right, that will conclude item number 3. Okay, let's go to the last item on our docket. This is file number 24-4844669 Osborne Street. Mr. Rattan, when you are ready, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. File number 24-4844. Property address 669 Osborne Street, business assessment ID 57418. The premise ID is 19270, premise area 3936, base ARV $90,804. The base ARV per square feet is $23.07. Total occupancy cost is $10,627, and the annual ARV is 101,460. And I would ask the board to confirm 2025 ARV for 101,460. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Charlebois Page, questions?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
Don't think so. We're just requesting a confirmation.
Yeah, we're just going through the process. Yep.
Okay, I have no questions.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. And I have no questions either. So Mr. Charlebois Page?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm requesting confirmation on this one. This was confirmed at the realty stage. Same comparable set that the city's relied on. I think principally it's too high for I think it's too high for this class of asset, just like the last one. We'll be seeking this appeal further and reviewing those rents. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Well, that will conclude item number 4. And with that, we have now heard all items scheduled, and this hearing is now adjourned. So thank you, Mr. Rattan and Mr. Charlebois Page, for your evidence today.
Thank you,
We'll have our
everyone.
decisions very soon.
Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen.